Welcome to Turning Point, the real estate show that defines your edge by empowering agents for the future. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host, Gil Sperling.
Welcome to our first Turning Point show. It's an initiative by Flow with association with Prop Data. We wanted to do a show that we could help the industry realize that it's fast transforming, it's digitally enabled, it's faster, it's moving faster than we can keep up. And we want to share our knowledge today with incredible guests on how you can remain relevant. And today we've got Gerhard Kotze from the RealNet Group, the MD of the RealNet Group, and Mark Buttress, the CEO of Prop Data, our integrations partner, joining us today. Welcome and thank you for being here, guys. Today we're going to talk about, cool, Mark, yeah. Today we're going to talk about how top agents create impact on social media, right? So I think the first pertinent point is that social media is not something that you can ignore. It is an absolute mainstream channel, and the numbers are just staggering. There are 26 million South Africans across Facebook and Instagram. They spend an average of 4 hours a day on these channels. You know, it's a channel that, again, cannot be ignored. You know, so Gerhard, you've been in this industry for decades, and I'm sure you've watched things move and change and channels come and go. What are your thoughts on social media and how agents should be using it? What's been your experience?
Thanks, Gil, and thanks for the show. I think it's a great initiative, and really proud to be here. Yeah, I think this is one of the hottest topics in our business, and it's going to remain that for quite a while until we all grasp the importance of social media. And I think if you look at the stats, Gil, I mean, we've tried everything from outdoor to a portion of social media, but not on the level that you guys are operating and that you've taken our business. And I think it's just important that agents remain relevant, but that they lead as well. I think that's the important thing, and I think that is what the show is about, is to show top agents how do you take the lead in your own business, and under the umbrella of a brand, how do you promote yourself, how do you dominate that space, because it is quite a noisy and a busy space to try and dominate as an estate agent.
100%, and I think that's what we want to share today is that it may seem overwhelming. Right, and we're gonna dispel it. We're gonna work through it, and it's not, right. And Mark, you know, our experience has been that sectors and verticals have adopted social media and digital as a way that they grow. You know, setting aside real estate, you know, the stat is that 60% of marketing budget across sectors is being spent on digital and social media. But not yet on property, right? So with you having, you know, a powerful real estate platform that's digital, I mean, what's your view on the adoption and movement so that we can bridge this gap for agents to enable themselves on these channels?
Yeah, Gil, well, thanks once again for inviting me, and I'm very grateful to be here to share some insight with you and the viewers today. So, I mean, as Prop Data, we've been growing for almost 2 decades now as a company, niching in real estate and online advertising. We've always tried to push the social media agenda, but our sort of vantage point on this is it's been always too cumbersome to really leverage the benefits of it. We used to run custom campaigns on top of the platforms. A lot of those campaigns required a lot of very heavily designed collateral, which took time and effort and approvals. And you know, that just added to the overhead from a cost perspective for many agencies to start leveraging the platform. Right. So obviously with our integration with yourselves, there's been a huge reduction in that overhead. And that just opens the door now for many more agencies and professionals in the industry to start leveraging the huge benefits that come with this massive audience, like you've mentioned.
Right.
You know, to create ads and exposure for agents at a click of a button just with a data feed now through your platform has really revolutionized how many of these people can get in front of their audiences. So It's a great initiative.
Good, thank you. And I mean, you know, we're saying that these channels cannot be ignored, but they're complex. They're complex to get on, and that's what we're trying to scale with the relevant technologies. You know, and another question that may come to mind is that how does one now think about the different channels that you used to advertising on? Street pole ads, the corner dustbin ads, bus shelters, outdoor, email, canvassing, portals. Where does social media fit in? Does one replace it? Does one not? Right. So I want to start off by just saying that it's actually a principle. And if our listeners can walk away with one thing, is that this is not necessarily a silver bullet, but it's one principle. Your seller, if you're looking to get a seller or a buyer, is in this consideration mode for months. Mm-hmm. They're thinking about where they want to sell, or mortgage originators, mortgage calculators that they're playing with, and pricing that they're looking at, and that goes on for months, which is why you just want to be top of mind, right? So in your experience, Gerhard, I mean, what does a mix look like of the channels, and how does one think about it?
Gil, I think the most important thing is that one channel will never replace the other in our business, and I think it's important for us to realize that outdoor media will still be a part of our business, but there's a new kid on the block, and that kid is not that new anymore, social media, and it's got this massive following. And I think the key thing is to reach your audience wherever they are. So if we look at traditional outdoor, you reach them whilst they're driving past your billboard or your show house or any of those type of mediums. Email, if they don't want to open your email, they miss that opportunity. And I think the biggest thing is to reach your audience whilst they are, wherever they are, whatever they're doing, but when it's convenient for them to actually absorb your brand and your awareness and the message that you've got. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where it's key that we've learned in our dealings with you guys as well, is that it's all about the reach and the repetition and sort of the frequency of your ad, not overdoing it, but not underdoing it. And I think that is the key where you're running your own social media. What we've found is to find that niche of what is the right frequency and what is the right reach and what is the right cost to put behind it or budget. And I think those are all complex things which we as real estate, we don't really want to focus on that. We want a partner that can automate that type of a business and make it accessible. But we need to stay top of mind. I mean, that is how the wars win, is to remain top of mind.
Bottom line, right. And those are metrics that one needs to understand. But again, they're simple. Being top of mind means someone, when you walk up to someone in the street and you say, who do you think the area expert is in Pretoria East? Someone comes to mind because they've seen that messaging, right? Yes. And people spend a lot of time on digital and of course outdoor, and it's the combination that works well. I mean, I just have up here on the slide that some key points, obviously, is that social media or digital is way more targeted, right? So you can actually target people by age, by gender, by geography, which is the most important in this business, right? It's your geographic targeting. You can have dynamic content. You can change your content, your ad every day if you want.
Correct.
Not ideal, but it's dynamic and it's in your control. So there's so much more control, so much better targeting, so much more measurable as well, right? But Mark, one of the, so the summary of this is that one should never not do any of the channels. It's the combination, and there's a balance between them, mm-hmm. right? And we can discuss that further perhaps in our upcoming shows. Mark, others, there's different messaging in the market, right? I think agents and the real estate industry are hearing different messages of what other players are doing and how to go about it. And so what's your view in the most objective way, advice that we can give our listeners on how to think of which channel to use and not get bogged down by dirty noise, the noise that's out there?
Yeah, Gil. Well, I think my most sort of objective view there is that in all instances, brands and agencies really should be trying to consider a multi-channel approach. Obviously, some channels are more effective in certain circumstances when you're considering your sales funnel and where you're trying to reach new audiences and trying, obviously to nurture them to transact. And I think social is just a growing part of all parts of that channel. Obviously, from an audience building at the top of the funnel, then from a nurturing perspective, growing, moving them down your funnel towards possibly looking to transact. But I mean, bringing all sorts of medium and channels into that consideration sort of mix should be a focus point of every real estate company at the end of the day. I mean, that's what we advocate as Prop Data, and with our marketing stack that we provide the industry. But I just reiterate, your stack and our integration is just alleviated the pressure points and the overhead. We're trying to get exposure via the social media channels, in particular Facebook. And I mean, the audiences that you can then build up through that interaction helps you also leverage other channels, because
Exactly.
once you get people interacting with your content, you can then very cleverly use that audience to re-engage with them at different points in the channel or the funnel as they see your brand and engage with your brand ongoing.
Exactly.
So multi-channel, but leveraging the automation that we've now established with social is definitely a consideration.
Yeah, I think that's what we've managed together to bring to the industry is that we've made it seamless and easy, because it's complex. But setting aside the technology behind it, even which is an absolute necessity. Our experience is that social media and digital is a thread that ties up all of the rest of the channels, because you can bring through the people who you're targeting, and actually know and understand who you're talking to, right? So it actually just becomes a much more effective, cost-effective, and effective channel in combination with the rest of your funnel. And sorry, a bit of background noise here. One of the issues or misnomers that agents have is, okay, I mean, I've got my fan page and put up a few posts and I'm doing Facebook, right? Mm-hmm. What is this whole story about the complexity and the targeting and so on, right? So I think this is a very important myth to dispel. Right, so Gerhard, I mean, you probably hear this all the time, where your agents who are generally independent, they're running their own show, they're out selling hard, and they're doing what they can with their digital presence and their fan page, and they're putting up posts, right? So we call it the organic posts. Mm-hmm. And there's a whole other world, paid media, right? What's your experience with that when you're dealing with in your business?
So Gil, I think again the important thing is that we've been doing social media for years now, before this sort of upgraded version or automation of social media came in. Mm. And the way I look at it is that the longer your brand or your agent's face, whatever the campaign is running, it's as if the interaction gets better over time. So I think one of the key things with organic posts is that you get your 5 likes and you move on, you get 5 likes and you move on. And that's great, but I think that's not the future. It's definitely, you have to build audience, you have to nurture that audience, and you have to be consistent. Because again, organic posting, what we found in our business is when we're not busy, we're posting 2-3 posts a day. And when we get busy selling what we should be doing and listing, the frequency just falls off. So again,
consistent.
Yeah, it's just erratic, the way that it's done organically. So again, the longer you are consistent in the eye of the consumer, the more engagement you'll get from those campaigns. And I think the key message that I would like to give advice to anybody is that it's not a one-day game. It's not. This is the long game.
Right.
So if you want to grow your presence on social media, and if you want to grow your audience, which I think is the gold of the future. It's like data is the future.
Right.
Now, audience is data. And if we look at Poppy and all the compliance legislation that we've had, that how do you reach your client without disturbing them or without being a nuisance? And I think social media is the way, because you're not basically forcing yourself onto them, but you're always gently there. You're running different campaigns. Some of them can be lead generation, some can merely brand awareness. But again, as an agent, I think you have to be in the long game. You have to invest. And you have to, as an agent, not just an agency, as an agent, you'll have to find the campaign and the retargeting and the remarketing and understand that. If you don't understand that, then get a partner.
Right.
That, like you guys, that can actually leverage the outcome, which is, I want to be top of mind. I want to be the preferred agent when somebody's looking to sell. or do evaluation. And from there, it's the agent's skill that will either make them get the listing or not. But I mean, that's a whole different conversation. We take, everybody's got that, has got that skill sorted, and we need to be top of mind. We need to find channels. How do we retain top of mind? Or if you're a new agent, how do you become the king of the hill in the shortest period of time?
Right, and here's the simple fact, right? So you know, like you say, there are ways to use social, right? But when you've got a fan page and you're putting out posts, and let's say you do maintain the momentum, you're still only reaching some percentage of your fans or your followers, right? Mm-hmm. And if you've managed to get 1,000, the organic reach that Facebook allows is 5-6%, right? So they've limited. So you may get, 50 people seeing it. Where that works really well with the paid media part is actually when you're buying media to reach the 26 million people that we discussed, right? So first of all, your organic posts actually get a boost, but more importantly, you are far more targeted. And like you say, so when you do paid media, you actually have the capability to target people at the right time with content that's relevant to them.
It's all about relevance.
It's all about relevance, exactly. And that's where you're not a nuisance. You're actually, people come onto social media, they choose to come onto social media, scrolling with their thumb on their news feed, seeing content that they expect to see. And because of the targeting ability on social, they will want to see you. They're ready to engage with you. But it's really about reaching them at masses. In Pretoria East, for example, to reaching the 300,000 people in that area. Right.
At frequency.
Yeah, at a certain frequency. Mark, so, social media is and digital especially is a really rich, immersive experience. And that's the one opportunity with it beyond other mediums, is that to some extent you actually get as a user, as a buyer or a seller or a tenant or a landlord, I can actually engage with the brand or with the property in a far more immersive way, right? Because of video and because of the different channels. Mark, so obviously your platform it really looks at the end-to-end spectrum, or the full funnel, as you say, which is a great term for everyone who doesn't know that yet. The funnel obviously is people first knowing who you are, who your brand is, then engaging with intent, and then submitting a lead and becoming a client, right? So in your experience, how do you see these immersive experiences or the different channels fit in and not feel overwhelmed by them?
Well, look, at the end of the day, Gil, I think it's the type of campaign and the strategy you come up with for that campaign in terms of how you're reaching people at different parts of the funnel. So, I mean, what we've cleverly done with you guys is to pass you agent and branded agency information, and look to, create area-specific profiling of agents and brands as a means to introduce, new prospects to the brand if they're not necessarily exposed to it. And then obviously through remarketing to frequent those people on an ongoing basis, and with pixel tracking and the likes to then, follow them up with other forms of media if there is consent, considering Poppy, whether it's email or other display ads. But then, like you say, if they start to engage with more specific ads like listing ads, what we've cleverly done with you guys is if they're engaging with a specific listing at a certain price point, instead of, retargeting them with listings that are not relevant to them, either by price point or area or whatever, we can cleverly serve them more specific ads, which are more in tune with stock or ads that they may have engaged with previously. So, I mean, that cleverness is the what I suppose users on the internet today have become to expect. If you're interrupting people, they're going to very quickly tune out to the information that's been presented to them. If it's almost following them with a story and those are interest-based stories, then the engagement of between those ads and the brand and the content that you're serving them is obviously going to go up. I mean, the fact that we can do this all digitally and automatically with feeds, allows different types of data to be presented to them in the format of video, obviously imagery, branding, agent information. So it can be a mix of things depending on the types of campaign and the messaging that you're trying to get in front of people.
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, previously in our world, this all had to be manually designed, and I think that's the big difference I'd like to reiterate. Long lead times, design revisions, very manual, a lot of overhead, and then when you reach the person, there's no clever way to assimilate or digest how to follow them with even better information. And I think that's the real power that's coming into play here.
Yeah, 100%. And it's really, what we've managed to do with yourselves, Mark, is that it's become just off the shelf. It's so seamless, and the underlying piece is the feed of data. So you're capturing your listings once, you're capturing and maintaining your agent information once, and it pulls through to Flow. And in a matter of clicks, you have ads that are completely designed. And here's an example, right? So Gerhard, you guys rebranded, which is a big, brave move, and well done, and congrats on that.
Yeah, thank you.
And here's, like, in the middle there's a video. And again, it's such a great immersive experience. You can see it's a video, but also it comes in another format where you slide left and right through your brand, and you can relay your brand essence to people. Correct. Right. And also it's done quickly, because remember, people on their mobile don't have patience. Yep. They're scrolling with their thumb, like we said earlier, and they're stopping for a few seconds, but we managed to relay the essence of your brand. I mean, and I've got another tip on how to follow that up, but how's that gone for you? That's a big, big move, and you backed digital as a key channel. How's that gone for you?
It's gone exceptionally well. Thanks, Gil. I think if I look at the results that we've had, the rebrand was just leading up to our embracement more of technology, etc. And but the message, the way social media gets our message out, and the way it actually makes our brand pop, the new look and feel, is just amazing. Yeah. And I think maybe so just immersive. To touch on what you and Mark were saying earlier, so we use Prop Data as well as our technology partner, and integrated with Flow, and then integrated into HubSpot for where we sort of nurture our leads and have journeys with them. And I think that's the key, Gil, is just a couple of things just quickly for the guys looking at this. Is one, you have to look at the top of the funnel first. So you have to get enough people into your funnel. Secondly, you have to have automation to segment them, which are important, which are urgent, etc. And you have to go on that journey with them. And I think what we've found with getting the listings dynamically onto your portal, I think the key essence there is the agents must really focus on their photographs. I think that's something we keep on saying, but we can't stress it enough. So the internet is all about the quality of photograph. So I think that's key when you select properties that go onto this live feed. Secondly, we've got a whole design department, etc. in-house. But again, to dynamically change these ads quick enough, we've decided to use you guys for all that artwork as well. And that's just alleviated the pressure from us and I think depending on which level you are, but not everybody's got those access to the resources we've got. But still, to have this additional partner that can generate design on fly, that's really great. Right. And I think if we look at the video and the amount of absorption of video in our business and on the campaigns, that just tells us that video is the future. I think, again, if you can get your message across to the wider reach people, you remarket, retarget them. Mm-hmm. It's just using the money that you invest better and smarter than in the past, where you've got a static billboard or a static piece of outdoor, which has got no intelligence behind it to actually remarket towards that person, to understand the person. And I think the better content you create, the better your campaigns will be and the better engagement. Exactly.
It really is about the content. And here's the tip, and you've mentioned it, right? So with that video, we were targeting people in specific areas, which is a targeting capability. People engaged with that video. Mm-hmm. We captured them in an audience, and then we retargeted them with that carousel, right? And that carousel that you can see on the left there, are the listings that pull through from prop data dynamically. And if a listing is sold, it pulls it out. If a listing's just listed, it pulls it in. It's completely dynamic, but it's targeting people who engage with your brand. Yep. So they're familiar with you, you top of mind, and therefore the engagement on that is far higher, far more relevant.
That's what we found.
Right, fantastic. Yeah, so I think that we've got room for one more piece of content here is on the creative, right? So a big challenge for agents and agencies is the design and the creative, right? Because you want to capture attention, and it's you do it visually on social. And relevantly, and so this is one of the features that we have that we've just released now is the ability to spit out these designs that are firstly to your CI. So you load your CI into Flow, and of course with prop data, the data is there, and it's really the mesh that happens in a couple of clicks, right?
It's amazing.
Right, thank you. And we've had some really great early results with it. A lot of agents using it themselves, or they're using their administrator. What's your operationally? How do you advise that people look at it, that our listeners look at using a platform like Flow and like prop data to scale their efforts, and operationally, I mean with their administrator in the office by themselves, because you're capable of doing it by yourself,
Thank you. I think that depends on the size of the operation and the size of the structure that they've built. But I think so. Let's talk about bigger offices with bigger infrastructure or bigger businesses. They would most probably centralize that to one central person to distribute that on behalf of the agents. But again, I think the smaller the agency, the more pressure there'd be. But I think the way you've built your self-help platform now is that an agent doesn't have to wait if he or she wants to get herself or himself out there.
It's instant.
They don't have to wait. It's instant. They can pay it their own way. They can test their own designs. If you're in a bigger office and you've got that convenience, that is great, because the office will always try and assist. That's sort of the role of the business, is to try and take away the admin from the agent, so the agent can focus on the key activities, which is listing, selling, engaging with clients, connecting. But either way, I think your platform is so easy that it can either be run by an administrator from a central point of view. That's the way we run it at the moment in most of our offices. But an individual agent, I think it's a 4-step process, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
The brand templates are in there, so you can't go off CI. So it's so easy. It's like plug and play. Put your money on, track it, and you're out there and you're ready to go.
Exactly.
So no reason not to be a leader out there anymore, because
it's accessible
it's
now.
made it easy.
Yeah.
And accessible.
Mark, just the last point from you. What do you think the next few months and even the next year or two looks like from your point of view, from adoption of digital? So a bit of a trend. What are your thoughts? How are things going to look like, and what should people strive for?
Well, I think from a prop data perspective, our core focus has always been about education. I think a large percentage or a large part of this adoption factor is about educating. And, I think webinars like this just go a long, long way to just connecting people, connecting the industry, and uplifting them in terms of the things they need to be aware about in terms of prop tech and where things are going digitally. We're going to, as a company, going to be making quite a bit of noise around some forthcoming updates to our ecosystem in terms of a new management system. We've got a lot coming out in the next couple of months, which we hope is going to, again, just elevate the adoption level of this kind of tech, integrations with partners like yourselves, visualization of feedback data, which I think is the one part we haven't mentioned yet. There's a great feedback loop from Flow into prop data, which allows people at all levels to actually see the benefit of what's coming out of these ads and this exposure. But yeah, I think education is the big thing for us, Phil. And the more we can talk about new ideas, new prop tech ecosystems and features coming out, the more the industry is going to grab hold of this stuff. And I think the one point I would like to leave everyone with today is that the sooner they realize that consumers are now active and smart, they know how to find what information they're looking for. And it's a case of presenting your brand on an ongoing basis in the right places where they're looking for that information. And I think that's the key to digital. If you understand that, the mix of channel and how to talk to people at different levels of the sales funnel, those kinds of things start to fall into place with your strategy.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. Thanks for joining us. Thank you, Gerhard, for joining us.
It's been fun.
It's exactly what we're here for, and you can look forward to another episode coming soon. We will continue to impart our knowledge with great guests. Thank you very much, guys.